All right, welcome everyone to our community call for June. Can everyone see my screen and give a quick thumbs up if you can? Okay, awesome. All right, so for today, we're gonna go over some of the recent changes that we've made in June. So Ben will go over some hub enhancements and integrations with Stencila and Coda, which was previously called the Converter. Nakomi is going to go over some updates on the Stencila command line interface tool. I'll go over some Google Suite add-on designs that we've been working on, and Alex will go over the style repo updates. All right, and I'll pass it off to Ben.
Cool, thanks, Jacqueline. Yeah, so as Jacqueline said, I'm going to just talk about some of the updates to the hub, some of the new UI, and run through a quick demo. So I'll start by sharing a browser here. So everyone should be able to see a browser window with Chrome. And so what I've done here is I've already logged in to my account using my Google account. So I have Google credentials stored in the hub now. And so when I'm interacting with Google documents, which I'll show in a bit, it's using those credentials. But if you already have a hub account, you can log in and then link your Google account up to it. And I'll just go into a demo project here. And the first thing that you'll see here is that it's a slight redesign. So previously we had tabs at the top here, and now they've moved over to the left. And most of the work that's been done is around redesigning our files interface. So I'll give a quick demo of the files and linking other sources and things like that. So firstly, I just want to show the new, a lot of things have been integrated into this new menu, so we can create a file, a folder, or upload some files from in here. So I'll just start with a new file upload view, and now we can just pick multiple files there and open them, and up they go. They're uploaded, and there we go. They're here now, and I can just have a quick look in this file in the code editor. So that's all pretty simple. And I'll just show creating a new file as well. So I will create a markdown file here. I'll just call it example.md, and we can see we've got real time showing the path that's going to end up. So I'll create that. And once again, I'll open that up in the code editor, and I'll just put some markdown in here, and we'll save this for later. So now we've got a new markdown file there with some content in it. Next thing I want to show you is how we now have the ability to link in Google Docs. So previously, the only linking option we had was GitHub. So we've added Google Docs in here as well. And it's really simple, just hit link Google Doc. I've got a Google Doc in here, so I just copy that link address, paste it in here. The hub will pull out that ID and create a link. And now we've got this linked Google Doc in here. So now I want to show you some of the converters, or so this is in the background using the new Stencila converter, which is now renamed, as Jacqueline mentioned, to Stencila encoder. So we'll do some encoding. So I'm going to take this Google Doc and just save it as a markdown file. And it just asks me to confirm the name for it. And I'll hit convert there. And now we have this markdown file, which I can then, again, open it in the code editor. And you can see this is what the file looked like here, with a couple of titles and a couple of lists. And in Markdown, we've got a title and a list in there. So that's encoder in action. But we don't just need to work with Markdown. I will open my example Markdown, and we can go back into Google Docs. So I can save this as a Google Docs, and it'll again ask me for a name. I'll just stick with example and say convert, and that's doing the conversion and pushing it up to Google Docs as well. So now I've got this example Google Docs linked into my project, and I can open that up in Google Docs as well, and we'll take a look, and there's my title and my list as I created in Markdown, linked into Google Docs. And we can do other things, not just Google Docs. So I will show you also converting into a Microsoft Word. So it asked me again for the name, and it's put a docx there because obviously it's the Microsoft Word extension. And we've got a docx here now. And while we don't have the ability to open that up in the hub just yet, part of the something we've added as part of this update is the ability to download files. So I can download that, and I'll switch over quickly to see how I can. It's not so easy to stop sharing and share another thing. There we go. So I'll just stop that. I will share a Microsoft Word window, and there we go. So it's the same Markdown file now reconverted out into a Word document. Cool. So back to the hub. Right, so back in the hub. So yeah, so that's really cool. We have this actions menu, and it allows us to do all these cool save as and convert to different things, download files, and so on. So that's pretty cool. And I'd just like to show you as well a couple of changes made to the sharing preferences. So we just had this interface refined. So if we want to add people to look at this, so I can add my personal account to this just by doing a search, and I'll add myself as my alter ego as a viewer, and we can add teams. So I've only got one team here. Luckily, it's the #1 team, but I'll add them as editors. And then if we want to update the access for a team or another person, just select from the drop down. It's a real time change. There's no need to save this form. All happens straight away. So that's cool. And similarly with making a project public or private, I can make it public with just a click there, and it's straight away it's saved and it's made public. And I can just click that again, and it's private again. So that's just a couple of changes I wanted to show on the hub, the main changes we've done. I feel really privileged to be able to demo that because Jacqueline's done all the designs, and Nakomi and Alex have been working on the encoder in the back end, done all the cool stuff, and all I've done is sort of wire it all together. So I think as a team, we've really come together to pull this out, pull this off, and I think it's really cool. So that's all from me.
Thanks, Ben. Okay, turning to the slides. All right, so next, Nakomi will go over some command line interface updates. So I'll let you share. Oh, I think you're muted, Nakomi.
Thanks. Would you be able to share the slides, please, Jacqueline? And then
Yeah.
I might take over.
Okay.
Great. So hopefully you've got my updates. If you don't, then I can share locally. Just if you could move to the next slide. Awesome. So I'm going to talk about the Stencila CLI and updates we've done there. We've had a CLI tool for some time, but it's been on the back burner, and we've been focusing on developing these individual packages. And we've just in the last week started to focus back on the CLI as an entry point for people to start using Stencila. And obviously that's more designed for the coder end of the spectrum, but we'll have similar functionality that we've got in the CLI in the desktop as well. So I just want to start off with this quote from Adam Wiggins, who's one of the founders of Heroku, which you might know. And this is a quote that I like, which is small, sharp tools, composability. Simple tools which do one thing well and can be composed together with other tools to create nearly infinite number of results. And I mean, we're all familiar with this concept of having small, sharp tools. Unix is well known for that. But I think what this quote pulls out quite well is this idea of composability and being able to bring together these tools together. So just to take that a bit further, I want to give you the analogy of real tools. So next slide. So if we think about a Swiss Army knife, it's made up of all these small little tools, and each one of these tools is well designed to do one specific job. But if you had to choose one of them, which one would you choose? Like each one does one thing well, but it's not until they are all put together in one package that they become useful. And so similarly with Stencila, if we go to the next slide, we've got these small, quite focused tools represented by the individual schemas such as by the individual repos like Encoder that Ben was just demoing, Doctor and Nixter. And each of these are focused on one particular problem and providing a solution for it. What we're trying to do with the Stencila command line, if we go to the next slide, is to bring these all together into a bit of a Swiss Army knife. So the command line tool just provides a bundling of all these individual tools. You can still use those individual tools, those individual repos on their own, but we want to provide one way that's just really convenient, one entry point, one download for everyone to use. So if we go to the next slide. So right now, we've just, as I said, started reinstating the command line tool and building it back up again. And right now, it's really just got functionality from Encoder, but we'll be bringing in functionality from some of the other repos over time. And we've got 3 commands in here at the moment. Convert does the conversion that Ben just showed you on the hub. So all that conversion from different formats that you can do on the hub, you can also do through the command line tool. We've also got a command for doing some processing. So as well as just converting, actually processing some directives within the content. So if you've got a markdown file and you want to include other markdown files or a Jupyter notebook within that, the processing directives allow you to do that. And we've got this serve command, which allows you to have a local development server running. And I'm just going to demo that. So I'll take over sharing my screen if I can. Okay, let me find out how to do that. Okay, I think this is a schema I want to share. Okay, can you see my command line there? So I've got, I'm in the Stencila command line repo, and I'm going to just start serving the docs folder. So we've got in this repo some documentation, and one of the things we're trying to do is eat our own dog food and use Stencila for documenting Stencila. So part of the reason that we developed this now was so that we could get on and start doing that, eating our dog food. And what I've done here is I've started the command line tool serving the docs folder, and I'm doing that in synchronous mode, or synchronization mode. So what that does is when I make changes to any of the documents, it shows the updated rendering of that document here in my browser. So let me show you how that works. I'll open up this document, which is a markdown document, which describes the different processing directives. And I've got some code blocks you can see and some headings. And let me just make some silly changes to text. When I save that, if this is all working correctly, I get an immediate update in the browser. So you can see we get the live updates, and this includes not just only just static text like I'm doing here, but also some of those import and include directives that I'm in the process of documenting here. Yeah, so that's coming along really well, and we're sort of busy getting all those things ready for our workshop next week in Washington. And hopefully we're going to get people coming along to that workshop and kicking the tires on this and trying it out themselves. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Nakomi. Oh, I believe I might have an older version of the slides. Okay, I'll go ahead. So next I'll be sharing some of the flows that we've been working on and updating for the Google Suite add-on plugins. So one of the big changes we made recently was being able to access the different features in the add-on using the add-on menu that's on the top bar instead of an interaction we previously thought possible by clicking in a document and opening a sidebar, and I'll show that soon. So the first 4 flows I'll be showing are the sign-in into the Google add-on, linking a Stencila project from the beginning, then adding a code block using the sidebar if it's already open, and then using an add-on menu to add a code block from the top menu. So this is a sign-in into the plugin and integrating it in Stencila Hub, and then choosing a project on the hub. And next, adding a code block using the sidebar. So we've updated some of the wording here as well. And then using the add-on menu at the top. Okay, and then the next set of flows include editing a code block. So after the paper has been worked on, there's more code blocks you'd like to edit it and use the add-on menu and so. And then lastly, to view a data file and also upload a new one. So here I'm editing a code block by selecting it in the side panel. Oh, sorry, I scrolled a bit too far. And opening a data file. And uploading one through the sidebar. So this would upload a file into your Stencila Hub project. Okay. And the last set of flows include publishing a document to Stencila to stop sharing the published link, and then to convert an R Markdown file into a Google Doc or to any format that we have available through Encoda. So here I'm publishing a document, and it would create a published link that's hosted by us, and a user could view the paper. And next we'll be stopping the published link, so it'll remove the link when they stop sharing. And lastly, converting a document back to an R Markdown file. So you'd be able to see it back in the hub. Okay. And yeah, that's all of the Suitor add-on flows that I had to share. And I'll pass it over to Alex, who's been working on the style repo and Suitor.
Thanks, Jacqueline. The stuff you showed looks awesome. Thank you. Okay, let me start sharing my screen. And to give a bit of context, a lot of what I've been working on has been taking the wonderful designs that Jacqueline has been producing and breaking them down into code components that we can reuse across different projects. But one of the difficulties we found, or we kind of identified, was that a lot of the design systems that big companies like Google and Microsoft that they produce, they require adding a lot of their own vendor-specific classes or annotations to the code to make it work within their design system. So something we started doing was, instead of using their frameworks, taking bits and pieces of it from there and applying to our own, but in a way that we can keep the underlying structure or our HTML static and the same throughout different projects, or throughout when we're trying to use it for the different vendors. So to give a concrete example, is the Suitor plugin that Jacqueline has showed us is for Google Docs. But say we want to take it to some other editor, we would then have to go to the code and update it to make it work. So instead of doing that, what I was trying to explore was to build a system where we can have the HTML remain the same, using semantic markup, then add a different kind of skin on top of it and see if that works as a viable solution for us. So it does require a bit of upfront work from us, but I can demonstrate what we have so far. So I've been using Storybook document the process, and I have a few components, as you can see, and these are built in an atomic structure. So we have atoms that get composed together to build molecules, and molecules can come together to make objects or demos, in our case. So, but what you're looking at is a tab list, and right now this is being rendered using our material design CSS. And if I just inspect what this looks like in our browser, you'll see that all it has is it's this area that we're looking at. Sorry, let me just close this. Is we have a list item, and that is it. We don't have special classes or anything else. The only markups that we're adding are for ARIA support. So this role tab list and role presentation, they help with screen reader accessibility. And we do augment some of these elements using semantic classes like active, or for buttons, we have a secondary or a primary button. But then what this allows us to do is, this is how this HTML gets rendered by the browser without any styling. And we can layer on new skins. So for the material design, we end up with this something like this. But then if we take our Stencila CSS, we end up something like this, which was the old nav bar that we had in our old hub that then just conveniently redesigned and made it look better. So I guess I have catching up to do. And this can be applied to other components. So we have our primary button as well as our secondary one. But then if we look at the material design one, you can see, I'll get to your question in a second, Jacqueline. You can see what this looks like in the secondary button or the primary button. And to put these all together, that's where the big challenge is. We want to see what that looks like. So I took the the example of this that Jacqueline has been working on, the sidebar in the Sweeter add-on, and I'm trying to recreate it in this style design system that I'm building. So this is what it looks like using the material design, and then we can apply the Stencila theme and see what that looks like. So like this component has been styled, but the rest they're in the draft state, so we can see what that would potentially look like. And what this allows us to do is, like I was saying, we can take the structure and then apply a different skin on it and distribute it in a different package, saving us a lot of rework for this. I think this is all I have for this section. Jacqueline asked a question that she was wondering how version control works and if it will work. And the answer is we went with a mono repo, which is something like this. So we have a single project folder, and inside it we have packages. So we have our brand package that we can version control and distribute on its own. And this one contains our fonts, our logos. So you can see that we have the different variations of this, as well as our brand colors. So what we do is then we take this data of our brand colors and we generate the different themes from it, and which we refer to in, say, let me go to a button primary for the, not for this, but this one. You can see that we refer to our color inside our button CSS for our custom Stencila theme. So what this means is for the background color, use our primary color. And for if we ever need to theme it, so say we wanted the dark mode, we could just update the colors inside this file, and we wouldn't have to change any code really. We would just apply a different style sheet on top of it. And so we have the brand package, we have the style core, which contains some shared and normalization stylings, a bit that is common across all of the different themes. And then we have our style material and style Stencila. And each of these, they're all inside a Git repository, and we can publish different versions as we want. Sorry, that was a bit of a long-winded answer, but does that answer your question?
Oh, I'm not sure if Emmy was referring.
Okay, that confused me. No, it's my fault. I thought Jacqueline was the one who was talking. Sorry.
No worries.
Okay. But I do have one other thing up my sleeve, and this is more for the work that Nakomi has been doing, and that is along the style repo. I've been working on different themes for the RPNG and HTML generation. So this is a draft version for a generated theme for a prose document that is supposed to be for long-form research papers and articles, and to be published and hosted at Stencila. So this one was based on feedback that the very Stencila heavy branded theme that I created before was a little what's the right word? It's heavy-handed. And so we were trying to make it a bit more subtle. Some of the considerations that I was trying to address is how do we maintain a pleasant reading experience so that we have an optimal line length for our paragraphs and size without constraining the size of the media objects too much. Or tables. As you'll see, we have some tables below, And what this is kind of like the design solution that I ended up with, where the tables and media objects, they can break out of the text columns for easier consumption. And what we can then do is we can take this style sheet and to kind of steal Nakomi's demo a bit, we can generate a PNG image from the HTML. And if I run this, we will end up with a file. So this index.html is very rudimentary. It doesn't have just the title and the list, I believe. Is it encode or convert? I think it's encode. Was I not supposed to show this yet, Nakomi?
No, that's absolutely fine. I think, yeah, it was a convert instead of encode. You had it right second time.
Okay. And so this is how it gets applied to the CSS, to the image, sorry. But I'll share this for feedback, and maybe I can host a static version of this somewhere to get people to see if it reads well and comment on any potential suggested design changes. So yeah, thank you.
Cool, thanks, Alex. All right, and the last thing we had was a demographic questionnaire so that we can select a handful of respondents to do some moderated user tests. Yeah, so if anyone would like to take the questionnaire, that would be great. And lastly, yes, you can help by signing up to be a beta tester. Oh, and there's a chat. Thanks, Emmy. All right, and I think that's the end of our community call, unless anyone has any more comments or questions.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, yeah, it was like really impressive. It's really good to see some of this stuff because we're often working away separately in other, different parts of the world and things. So it's really nice to see those demos. And yeah, thanks everyone for all your work.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, I will end this call.